The long-awaited Apple AirPower is finally cancelled. It's cancelled, guys. It's dead, officially. Rest in peace, dear AirPower. You are only a 2-year-old toddler. Almost. Okay, so Apple's AirPower has indeed been cancelled in a completely unexpected announcement by Apple just a few days ago. And I wanted to make a video explaining everything that happened with the AirPower all along the years, everything behind the scenes, and why it got cancelled and why it got pushed back so much. Because in the end, no one really cares about, Apple canceling a charger, let's be honest. You see, the real problem here is Apple promising on delivering something innovative, promising that over and over again, delaying it, teasing it again, and then finally giving up. I mean, this whole process was an entire mess and an embarrassment to a company that's worth hundreds of billions, even $1 trillion once, that cannot even seem to be able to make a wireless phone charger, when companies such as SpaceX, that are worth less than $30 billion, by the way, they now have fully autonomous rockets that can fully guide themselves, land, and take off by themselves, and they're working on sending people to Mars. So, yeah, there's a huge difference. Apple's really closed-minded, and, they really think small in terms of, consumer devices, and yeah, hopefully you see the bigger picture here. So here's everything you need to know, everything that happened with AirPower. Also, the AirPods 2 giveaway still happening. Follow on YouTube and then follow on Instagram as well as EnoughTech, and leave a comment on this post saying why would you want to win the AirPods 2. The winner will be announced on April the 23rd. So now let's take a look at everything you need to know about the AirPower. To browse privately and securely and access things such as Netflix US from outside the US and much more, check out PrivateInternetAccess, our sponsor for this video. Use the link in the description to sign up for as little as $3.5 a month. Okay, so back in September 2017, Apple unveiled the iPhone 8 as well as the revolutionary iPhone 10, and both of these were Apple's first smartphones to support wireless charging. So it would have made a lot of sense for Apple to release an Apple-branded wireless charger to go alongside these new iPhones, and they actually did. At the September event, they've also announced the AirPower, a wireless charger that could charge not just your iPhone, but also your Apple Watch, which actually has a completely different wireless charging standard than the iPhone's more conventional Qi charging. Okay, so it supported the iPhone, the Apple Watch, as well as a brand new AirPods with a wireless charging case. This one was supposed to launch in 2017. Now, the AirPower was actually fully there at the demo stands at the event, so people did manage to take photos of it and see it in person, so it was there. However, it wasn't working fully as of yet. So the phones were actually not charging on those, so those were actually dummy units of the AirPower, not functional ones, which was a bit odd, to be honest. I think that this was actually the first time that Apple ever had a non-functional demo unit at an event. Now, at the September 2017 event, Apple did say that AirPower would not be launching in 2017, but in 2018 instead. Okay, so 2018 began, and everyone was expecting Apple to release AirPower by the end of January. But end of January passed and we still didn't have AirPower. But then Apple was going to have an event in March, so everyone was expecting Apple to debut AirPower as well as the new AirPods with a wireless charging case in March 2018. Makoto, for example, one of the most reliable sources when it comes to Apple leaks, had updates from their supply chain sources stating that AirPower was indeed going to be released in March 2018. Then the Apple Post reported a similar thing based on a Best Buy listing, so there were a ton of sources that pointed towards a March 2018 launch. But March 2018 passed as well, and all we got was an entry-level iPad that supported the Apple Pencil, and that was it. And then came WWDC 2018, which, yes, I know, it is usually a software-focused event, but we were still expecting Apple to release those small accessories, the AirPower and the AirPods with a wireless charging case, but it didn't. In fact, they haven't even mentioned those at all. Okay, so this was a bit odd. We were halfway through 2018, and there was no mention of that promised AirPower. And then came the big iPhone event in September 2018, literally a full year after the AirPower was announced. And here we had even more reports and sources claiming that Apple would finally release the AirPower and the AirPods with a wireless charging case. Now, Apple did release the iPhone XR, the iPhone XS, and XS Max alongside the Apple Watch Series 4, but again, there was no mention of AirPower at all, or even the new AirPods, a full year after they were both teased. So something was definitely wrong here, and just a few hours after the event finished, Apple updated their website and they removed pretty much every single mention of the AirPower and the AirPods with a wireless charging case. The only place where AirPower was still mentioned was on the AirPods page, but that was it. Okay, so all of this pointed to Apple canceling AirPower. Now fast forward 2 weeks, and the iPhone XS's, they started shipping to customers that bought them. And the interesting thing here was that in the actual iPhone XS manual that came inside the box, there was a mention of the AirPower in the charging section. Place iPhone with screen facing up on the AirPower or a Qi certified wireless charger, pretty much confirming that Apple has not cancelled AirPower just yet. It wasn't dead. But we still had no news of the AirPods with the wireless charging case at all. So maybe those were cancelled and then the AirPower was still happening. Well, fast forward to October and November, and reports were basically pouring in that Apple was planning on finally launching AirPower as well as the AirPods 2 by the end of the year, which made a lot of sense because, the holiday season was coming and Apple had to take full advantage of the season. But December came along and it also passed, and we still didn't have any of them. Now, there were a few job listings at Apple in December from their internal wireless team, and the details implied that this team is actually working on AirPower. There we were in 2019, a month later, more than a year since AirPower and the AirPods 2 with a wireless charging case were introduced, and they were nowhere to be seen. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. So around late January, a lot of reports started appearing stating that Apple has actually begun large-scale manufacturing of the AirPower and that it would be actually released very, very soon. But the end of January came along, nothing. Then February came along, nothing. And then March came along. And not only was Apple going to have a planned March event, but March 2019 was actually the first time when we started seeing some very promising AirPower updates. So first of all, Apple has been granted an official trademark for AirPower. Actually, they've bought it off of a different company called Advanced Access Technologies. And 3 days before the March event on March the 22nd, Apple fully secured the rights for the AirPower trademark. Not only that, but well-known developer Guilherme Rambo found that iOS 12.2 beta fully supported the AirPower charging mat. Okay, so all of this was just a few days before the event, and of course that everyone was expecting, Apple to unveil the AirPower at the March 25th event. But instead of releasing anything at the event, Apple kept it focused entirely on their new streaming services and released the products the week before the event. So they released the new iPad mini 5 and iPad Air 3 on Monday, the new 2019 iMacs on Tuesday, and as a surprise, finally the brand new AirPods 2, not the AirPower, the AirPods 2 on Wednesday. Yes, one of the two extremely delayed Apple products finally got released. We've even done a full video on the AirPods 2, watch it here, but yes, those were the ones that supported wireless charging, and then even on the AirPods 2 box itself, there was a mention of AirPower. That mention for some reason was missing from the non-US packaging, but even on our UK packaging, there was still a label referencing to AirPower. So we knew that AirPower was in mass production as of January 2019, we knew that it was fully supported in iOS 12.2, and we knew that there were mentions of the AirPower on the boxes of not just the iPhone XS, XS Max, and XR, but also the boxes of the brand new AirPods, which also come with wireless charging. So all the evidence was pointing towards a late March release for the AirPower. But then something completely unexpected happened. Just out of the blue, on March the 29th, Apple released this statement. After much effort, we've concluded AirPower will not achieve our high standards and we have cancelled the project. We apologize to those consumers who are looking forward to the launch. We continue to believe that the future is wireless and we are committed to pushing the wireless experience forward. This is what Dan Riccio, Apple's Senior Vice President of Hardware Engineering, said. Wow, what a mess. What a mess. There you go, this is the story. This is how the AirPower got cancelled. But you're probably wondering why. Why did the AirPower got cancelled? It doesn't really make sense. Everything was pointing towards an imminent launch. Well, apparently Apple was having major issues with three things: heat management, interference, and software. You see, most wireless chargers have one wireless charging coil, and you have to position your phone so that the wireless charging coil that's inside your phone aligns with the coil inside the wireless charger. The problem here is that you'll have to perfectly align those, otherwise the phone would not charge. So it's not a perfect system. Apple wanted to make AirPower so that you could place your devices literally anywhere on it, and they would charge at full speed. So Apple was not only experimenting with stacked charging coils, but also with having a ton of them. Not just one coil, not even two coils like some other wireless chargers, but between 21 and 24 coils, according to a report made by Sonny Dixon, who's actually been pretty much the OG leaker in terms of iPhone leaks, if you remember the iPhone 6 back in the day, the original iPhone prototype, and many, many more. And with that many coils, AirPower would heat up like crazy, and considering how thin Apple wanted to make it, and yes, Apple was refusing to put a fan in this thing, it was a serious thermal hazard. I mean, there are wireless chargers on the market, such as this 15-watt Belkin charger that has two coils, 15 watt of charging, and it's really thick, by the way, and it has a fan as well, just to avoid thermal issues. Apple's one had close to 30 coils, not to 30 coils, and no fan at all. And Apple also wanted to make it so that this would charge 3 devices at the same time at full speed. Basically impossible in such a thin form factor. And the second issue here was the interference. If you stack coils together, you get interference, so you need to increase the power output, which in turn increases heat. And then finally, the third issue here was the software. So what Apple wanted to do was to make the AirPower capable of reading a device's battery level, so it was actually running on a custom chip and even on a stripped down version of iOS. And essentially your iPhone would be able to see the battery life of your AirPods 2 and the Apple Watch directly from the lock screen as soon as the devices are being placed on the AirPower. So to do that, the other devices had to communicate with AirPower, and then AirPower had to send the data to your iPhone. So there you go. This is why the AirPower failed. Apple was trying to do basically the impossible, something impossible with this technology that we have today, and they failed. I mean, they could have come up with a brand new wireless charging standard, something different than Qi charging and something more efficient, but designing a new standard would have not only cost significantly more, but it would also make any other device that does not have the standard incompatible with AirPower. So all the other iPhones, the new ones, would actually have to come with this standard, which would have made them incompatible with all the other wireless chargers on the market, which do support Qi charging. But yeah, there you go. Hope you guys enjoyed this detailed explanation. Let me know in the comments what do you guys think about the AirPower, the fact that Apple canceled it, and how does this affect Apple's image? Promising something and then not delivering. So yeah, let me know in the comments what you guys think. Also, that AirPods 2 giveaway is still going. Just be a subscriber to the channel, follow on Instagram at ZoneOfTech, and leave a comment on this post saying why would you want to win the AirPods 2, and I'll be picking the winners on Instagram via DM. I'll be announcing those via DM and stories on April the 23rd. But yeah, this has been pretty much it. Thank you for watching. I'm Daniel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. ZoneOfTech, signing out. Cheers.